We've helped over 128 freelance copywriters get consistent clients with our system that has booked over 4,600 sales calls so far. Cold DMs have been by far our highest return on money and time invested. Our client April is the perfect proof. We helped her make 60K in just 90 days only by sending cold DMs. Today, I'm sharing with you our 2 proven DM scripts that actually work. Let's jump right in. By the way, this whole document is in the description for free if you want to check it out. And also if you want to take a look at what we are doing automating client acquisition for freelancers, you can also check out freelanceclients.com, which is our website, by clicking on it right here. With that being said, let's get into the 4 important topics we need to cover to get cold DMs right. So what we're going to discuss and break down today in this video are number 1, why most cold DMs fail, because we also have to understand like failure scenarios in order to ensure that we understand what doesn't work and we can stay away from it, basically, right? Number 2 is going to be the best cold DM frameworks, right? We have tested a bazillion frameworks and styles and message types, and we just found out that these are the best cold DM frameworks to send, and we're going to cover those as well. Then we're going to break down those frameworks into the 2 types of cold DMs you can send and you can leverage those frameworks with. And lastly, where I think the real value is going to be is the follow-up sequence, because we have built this follow-up sequence in a way that is unique and nobody else probably there's very few people that do it this way. Okay, so stick around so you can watch the whole thing and it will all make sense at the end. Okay, so let's get into number 1, which is why most cold DM scripts fail. Before I show you what works, let's talk about what most copywriters and freelancers are getting wrong when trying to do prospecting by themselves. Most of you immediately start your messages or prospecting efforts with, I'm a copywriter who specializes in, I noticed your website could use better copy. I can help you increase conversions with my compelling words. I saw your ad and thought the copy could be improved. These approaches fail these days in 2025 because number 1, they focus on you instead of them. Instead of you being like, hey, look, I know that in your industry, it's very common to face X, Y, and Z problem, and I want to fix it for you. You're being like, I can do this, this, and that, and I have this many years of experience and so on, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, most of these approaches, which worked a while back, these days they can come across as presumptuous and sometimes even insulting. Because I'm telling you, if I'm a business owner and I know my stuff and there's like a kid in my inbox trying to tell me that I can have better copy on my website, but I know my conversion rate is through the roof, I'm not going to respect that message. I'm going to find it insulting and I'm not going to respond to that person, right? But when someone comes to me with an angle of, hey, I know that there are issues around this specifically, which are keeping your conversion rate down in your industry, and I can help you with it, I'm going to see it as a problem solved from a problem solving perspective. Okay. That's one very good keyword, problem solving. Okay. You need to build your messages from a problem solving perspective. The third reason why these approaches that I just showed you fail is because they sound like every other generic message in their inbox. As you can imagine, the day in and day out, there are freelancers like coming out the faucet, like new freelancers every single day. And every single freelancer is going through the same trainings you've been through the same YouTube videos, through the same old tactics, and they're just like creating and saturating a monster, right? On the same note, these messages feel automated and spammy because let's be honest, I will not believe necessarily that you spend 2 hours on my website to figure out why my copy could be better, right? I would much rather respect you if you didn't make any like assumptions and you didn't make any claims that you've been through my stuff and you would just tell me like, hey, look, I know you're probably dealing with this. If yes, let's talk, right? And like you understand my specific like broader needs as a business owner in X industry, and you're coming to me with the problem solving mindset. Okay. And lastly, no matter how much you think that these messages establish authority because you're calling them out and you're giving them advice and whatever, you're not establishing any authority or credibility because you're making a claim that is not backed by any proof, right? When you make a claim about an industry specific problem, like for instance, e-com stores, some of them struggle with profit margin. So what they need to do to make sure they make more money is install more channels that don't cost them anything to run, or like they're not they don't need to spend money on ads to run those channels. And a very good example is email marketing, right? Because they already have the list. They just need someone to jump in and make them some money, right? So if I know that problem in an industry, I'm going to leverage that instead of just being like, oh, I've been on your website and your copy sucks and let me write an email for free for you and stuff like that, right? When we see our clients DMs previous to working with us, we see they have sent like hundreds of messages using these types of templates, and get almost no responses, no matter the niche, the offer, the industry, right? It's all the same. But simply after we implement our problem solving approach to this strategy, which I'm about to explain to you and how it works, which by the way is all done for them through our team, then that changes everything. And here's an example of our average response rates. I just pulled this from one of our clients' tracking sheets. As you can see, like this is on LinkedIn, by the way, we're getting a 22% response rate, which means out of every 100 DMs they send, they get 22 people to get back to them. We have a 42% positive reply rate, which means that out of every 10 responses, 4 of them are positive. So then that means out of every 100, there are 8 people interested to hear more about what they have to say. And then the booking rate is about 3%. So we know that every 100 DMs, we book about 3 appointments for this client, right? Which is insane because you can be pumping 100 DMs every single day and you could get 3 appointments every single day, Monday to Friday for your business, right? So that being said, now that we kind of broke the false beliefs and now we're also proving here that this isn't just me speaking about random stuff, it's based on what we've seen works. Let's get into the perfect cold DM framework that is based on us booking over 4,600 calls for freelancers collectively, after working with over 128 of them. Let's get right into it. So the first part of the message is the personalized opener. And I have to make something very clear here. By personalized opener, I do not mean going on a person's website and seeing specifically like what they do and making it super, super personalized, okay? That approach, it also works. We're not necessarily using it these days because we just like to focus more on volume. And when you focus on volume, then there isn't really like a lot of personalization that you can do to stay efficient. So what I mean by a personalized opener is the same thing I meant earlier, which is an industry specific problem, right? If I research my industry enough and I know what problems they're facing in their day to day that my skill as a freelancer can help them with, then I will be able to personalize it based on the industry, right? And I can use the same personalized line for every single prospect in that industry. And that is going to show them you've actually got experience in the industry and market. Because to my point, right, I would much rather work with someone that I know has experience in my industry and they can understand what I do and what problems I'm facing, rather than someone who is just good at looking on my website and complimenting me on some random stuff that doesn't really matter to my business or to my process anyways. Okay, so that's the difference right there. And if you go with approach number 1, you are going to be successful with this. Now part number 2 of the message is where we establish credibility. Okay, and we can do this by a couple of different in a couple of different ways. It's either through leveraging what the market wants, which is what we were talking about just a few seconds ago, which what we call it the desire approach, or we can do it through specific relevant results you've achieved. Okay, and we call this the case study / authority approach, right? So basically, if you have already successfully achieved an outcome for someone and you know like their name is going to be recognized and so on, then you can definitely put that in there, right? For an example, if you, let's say you work for Coca-Cola, right? And then you're targeting like beverages, and like foods and sustainable foods and stuff like that, right? So that's what you can use there. The only thing you need to make sure here is that it's relevant to their business, okay? Because if it's not relevant to their business and you're talking about how you work with Coca-Cola and then you send that outreach message to an automotive brand, it's not really going to do the trick, right? If that makes sense. So if that's the case, I would much rather rely on the desire approach, which we're going to break down in just a second. Component number 3 is a simple call to action. And I need you to understand that a call to action doesn't necessarily have to be a 45-minute Zoom call, okay? You can keep it super low commitment, like worth the chat. Are you interested? Or just asking for a simple yes, or even like asking for their phone number so you can call them for 2 minutes and see if they are qualified, okay? So the lower the commitment they need to make, the higher the chance it's going to be that they are actually going to get committed. And you might be saying that, oh, if someone's not interested in a 45-minute Zoom call, then they might not be a good fit to work with me. But I want to challenge you on that because, first of all, like the first step towards any single relationship is commitment, right? So if someone cannot, if you're making it hard for them to commit to you, then you're just wasting effort, right? But if you're making it easy to commit, get a sample, see how good it is, and then want to commit a bit more, that's how you do the trick, right? It's just like the merchants, like in shopping malls that have like the cheese, like the cheese sticks or like the samples of food, and you just taste a bit, and then they make it easy for you to commit because it's free, it's in front of you, you can just grab it and go. But then if you like it, you're actually going to come back for more. So it's the same approach here. And then number 4 is, and the last thing is, an easy response mechanism. You want to make it incredibly simple for them to respond. You don't want to ask like complex questions like, what is your biggest struggle with your business in 2025, or what have you noticed that didn't work with your current email marketing, right? Keep these complex questions for when you're actually getting them, when you actually have them committed already, okay? And you should understand that volume, outbound is a volume game. So if you're making it hard for you and for them at the same time, the volume's not going to be that great, okay? So make it easy for you by personalizing everything based on the industry and not on the person, and make it easy for them by keeping it low commitment, okay? Those are the two main things. For example, on LinkedIn, as you can see right here, like we're doing about 50 to 100 semi-personalized DMs a day to see consistent results. So that's pretty much the same volume you should expect as well with a strategy like this, all right? Perfect. Now that we broke down the framework, let's get into the two cold DM scripts that are currently booking calls for our clients. I'm going to show you an example for the case study and authority approach. I'm going to show you an example for the desire approach. And then we're going to talk about why those scripts actually work. And I'm going to show you some real examples with results as well. Okay. So the script number 1 is the case study / authority approach. And this is for established copywriters and freelancers, people that already worked with at least one client. And you have something to show, okay, for your work, for what you're saying. If you have results that you can showcase, I would definitely do something like this, okay? So this is an example of a message. Hi, name. I recently helped Coinbase secure #1 rankings on Google for highly competitive crypto keywords, driving significant organic growth. With 10 plus years crafting strategic, authoritative content, I simplify complex crypto topics and amplify your brand's voice. Worth a quick chat? So as you can see, this right here focuses #1 on authority, okay? We know the market's problem is that crypto keywords are highly competitive. So I mentioned that way before I talk about myself. And I mentioned exactly what they want, which is organic growth, not dealing with paid ads, not dealing with like all that type of stuff, right? So this is why it works so well. This is why we call it the case study / authority approach, because we mention the authority first, like we work with this company and they got X, Y, and Z. And then this is what we delivered for them. And then that's what I do, worth a quick chat, right? That's the framework in a long story short format. Now, script number 2 is the desire approach. And this is for copywriters and freelancers without case studies, okay? If you don't have a case study like this, or you have a case study, but you just don't think it would fit the current dynamic, you should leverage the desire approach, okay? So for instance, we have this client right here. Hi, name. I specialize in helping holistic entrepreneurs land more retainer clients from their existing email lists using meaningful and empathetic email sequences and blogs. If your list has at least 500 contacts, I'd love to explore how I can help you get more clients too. Worth a quick chat. So here, we didn't have any authority-based sentence because we don't have it, but instead, we understand that people like holistic entrepreneurs, like life coaches, like holistic coaches, and these types of people, they want to work with more retainer clients. They don't want $500 consulting gigs, okay? And we know that because we've done our research and our homework in the market. And we also know that most of them are running webinars and lead magnets and that type of stuff. So they must have an email list laying around. So this is why we leverage the desire approach. We know they desire more retainers. We go in with this kind of message, and then we also kind of qualify them a bit, because this approach this is specific to email marketing, but you can do the same thing for your service. But if they don't have a list of at least 500 contacts, then it's not going to work, right? So we kind of put that in the message to make sure that they're qualified and we're not wasting time, okay? So these are the two cold DM scripts that are currently booking calls for us. Now, why do these scripts work? Well, for the case study script, it's directed and it gets straight to the point, okay? So it's no like 1,000 word article you're sending on an email or a LinkedIn message or whatever. And I always say this, if the person can read your message before even realizing they're getting sold to, that's when you win. Because you have a higher chance of converting someone that reads 100% of a short and concise message than someone who reads 20% of a well-written, proposal in an email, right? So that's always what I'm trying to say. Again, small commitment, okay? Get that small commitment from them, because it takes 10 seconds to read 3 sentences instead of 5 minutes to read the whole email. And if they're interested, they're going to say yes, and then you can get into bigger and bigger and bigger commitments, okay? That's how direct response works. Second thing, it is immediately establishes credibility with real results unique to their business, right? So if we're reaching out to crypto companies, everyone knows Coinbase, of course. And if we did this for Coinbase, then they're going to be like, they for sure can do this for me, okay? It makes a specific observation about their business, like, like the highly competitive crypto keywords, and we know that they need organic growth, right? It uses a simple CTA that invites a response worth a quick chat. So we're not asking them to book a call. We're not doing all that. We're just asking them to say a quick, yes, I'm interested. And then we're going to take it from there. And it positions you as an authority who can deliver results, which is kind of related to the other point I was making. Okay. That's pretty much it. Now, for the desire script, the way it works, it's more personalized, right? Not just inserting their name, because we also have the industry specific desire we're focusing on. Okay. And we also have like the qualification criteria here. It establishes credibility without bragging or over promising, right? Because we just mentioned what we specialize in and we understand their goal, and we also like qualify them. So we're not like, yeah, I can do this for you no matter what, let's just dump on a call. It offers something of value before asking for their time, because we offer them exactly what they want. And it keeps the commitment small, just the same as the case study script, because it's just a matter of saying yes to that worth a quick chat call to action. Okay. So I hope this makes sense for you. Now let's go over a couple of real examples and results we've got. Okay, so for the case study approach, and by the way, I kept these messages, like I iterated the names a bit just to keep everything confidential for our clients, but you get the point. The case study approach. So, hi name, I recently worked with a company and helped them sell their new bourbon in just the first 4 days of the year, resulting in a big boost for their brand as well. If you have an email list of 500 plus people, I could help you have your first or next 6-figure launch worth a quick chat. This right here is for a copywriter specializing in the alcohol and wine and spirits industry. And of course, as I said, I censored a couple of things just for the sake of me being professional here. But here, you actually, instead of mentioning I recently worked with a company, you want to mention the name of the company, right? Especially if it's like Jack Daniels or a company that every bourbon business owner would know, okay? The result of this, 9% response rate, 22% positive response rate, and a 0.8 booking rate, right? So this is more like an average case study rather than the one I showed you here, which this one is an incredible result. But still, here, every 120, 130 messages or so, we are getting an appointment, okay? So if you can send 16 outreach messages a day, you're booking an appointment every 2 days, which is like 15 a month, which is enough for you to close clients and retainers, okay? And this client right here, his name's Epe as well. You will probably see him on our website if you check it out. But he basically closed a 2.5K retainer for 6 emails a month from this specific outreach message and with these specific numbers. Okay, so these are proven and battle tested scripts right here that are definitely working. Okay, now let's also go and see an approach for the desire framework with no case studies. This is for a book ghostwriter. Okay, and the message says, hi, I specialize in helping mental health businesses fix trauma around the world, one brain at a time, while also reaching new qualified potential clients by writing a fully done for you book about their journey. I love to do the same for you. Worth a quick chat. Okay. And this again right here is a very good message. As you can see, the metrics, again, this is an average example. Okay. But we keep it very consistent. So the response rate is a bit lower at like 7.2%. The positive response rate is pretty much the same, but the booking rate is a bit higher. So we have a 1.08% booking rate, which means every 100 messages, like every 105 messages maybe, we book a call, okay? Same thing, if you have these metrics and you know them, then we just optimize for volume, okay? Now, in each case, the messages were customized to match the prospect's industry, but followed by our proven framework, because here we know that these bourbon business owners, they're looking for having like successful launches with their products. And we know that for mental health businesses, they want to focus on fixing trauma and also get new potential clients, right? So we understood that about the industries, and that's how we built the messages. These aren't theoretical templates, okay? These are messages that have helped our clients book over 4,600 sales calls, and all the messages we build for our clients are similar in a way or the other. the key to making these scripts work outside of, having a good message is volume, okay? We don't really focus a lot on doing hyper personalization. As I said, just knowing what's going on in the industry as an average and what those people want usually is more than enough, in most cases, okay? If you go to a doctor, you will trust him because he understands your core pain and problem before he digs deep to figure out your specific symptoms, right? It's the same with outreach. People will trust you if you show them that you know what you talk about, and then it's time for them to commit and have a conversation with you and share more about their symptoms, all right? So that's pretty much it. If you build a script like this and you plug it in and you send 50 to 100 DMs a day, you also need a good follow-up sequence in place, right? And as you can see in our outreach strategy, getting the first message right is crucial, but your follow-up sequence is really where the money is at, because most people are not going to respond to you after that first outreach message. So what we want to do is we want to wait 24 to 48 hours before the first follow-up. And we want to keep follow-ups brief and add new value each time. Okay, this is where people are going wrong with follow-ups. Follow-ups like that are generic, like bumping this up or did you receive my last message, etc. That's good. That's going to get you responses, but it's not going to go the extra mile to get you the best possible results, right? What we can do is we can build a valuable media educational series, okay? So basically with each follow-up, between 4 to 5 in total, okay? So we want to follow up every time for 4 to 5 times after 24 to 48 hours, okay? We send them a quick video going over case studies, testimonials, work samples, research facts that can improve their business, okay? And remember, the goal is not to pitch in these messages. The goal is to move them to a phone conversation where we can qualify them and eventually book a longer call. So as an example, let's say I reach out to someone, okay, with the bourbon message, okay, and then they don't get back to me. Then 24 hours, I maybe am gonna send them a message saying like, "Hey, Name, I don't know if you noticed my message yesterday, but here's basically a more in-depth breakdown of how this works, right?" And then when we send that, we can attach like a 2 to 3 minute Loom video with a case study of how specifically we got that company a six-figure launch, right? Then in 48 hours, "Hey, Nane, I wondered maybe you want to look at some samples that I have." So I recorded a video going over a couple of emails that I sent for that company specifically. You can take this for free and implement them. It's all up to you. Or if you want to have that quick 5 minute phone call, then that's also an option, right? So you see what I'm saying here? Just adding more value with every single follow-up, but still making your call to action at the end. Why does this approach work? Well, it's because the law of reciprocity, okay, also known as the rule of reciprocation. And this is basically when you give someone so much that in essence, they feel like they need to give you something back, right? They feel like they're responsible to give something back to you. And in this case, you're giving them value. They're giving you their commitment to understand more about what you do and see if it can possibly help them. Basically, when you send generic follow-ups, you offer them nothing. You only show them that you want to take from them, right? I want to take from you. I want to take from your time. I want to take from everything. But when you approach it from a place of giving, 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 they will feel like they can at least hear you out and be like, "Oh, this guy's putting so much effort. He's sending me so many resources. I can at least, hear him out. And then, I'm just going to go from there." And that is one step closer to a successful book call for you. The thing I like about this value follow-up sequence is that it's a set and forget kind of thing. You just set it up once, you record the videos, and then you just use those assets forever for every single follow-up. Okay? So that's pretty much it, guys. These two scripts in the follow-up process have helped our clients book over 4,600 sales calls and land deals upwards of $20,000, even $30,000. The system works, but as you can see, it takes effort as well. It takes volume. It's not just about putting it together and then forgetting about it. So if you're a copywriter who'd rather focus on writing than on marketing yourself, then the link in the description will show you how our done-for-you system will help you start booking calls in under a week, right? All you have to do is just check it out, have a conversation with us, and that's pretty much it, okay? So with that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe as well. And again, if you're ready to take things to a next level, click the link in the description. I'll see you in the next one.